There are people in your life right now who cannot be trusted. Not because they attack you openly, not because they scream or insult you, but because they hide danger behind kindness, concern, charm, and good intentions. They don't break you loudly, they erode you quietly. The most dangerous people are rarely obvious. They blend in, they help, they listen, they smile. And that's why you miss the warning signs. Most people don't show you who they are, they show you what works. And if you don't know how to read patterns, you'll hand your time, energy, trust, and emotional access to someone who was never safe to begin with. There are 6 types of people who do the most damage while appearing harmless. They don't look toxic at first. They feel familiar, comfortable, even supportive. The first is the chronic victim. This person is always suffering. Nothing is ever their fault. Every problem has a villain, and it's never them. At first, you feel empathy. You listen. You help. You invest emotionally. But over time, something shifts. You start carrying their weight. Their emotions become your responsibility. Their pain becomes leverage. They don't want solutions. They want sympathy. Because as long as they're the victim, they never have to change. Their helplessness becomes their control. And if you stop helping, they make you feel cruel for not staying broken with them. The second is the charming mirror. This person reflects you perfectly. They agree with your opinions, support your goals, validate your insecurities. They feel safe because they feel familiar. But that's the problem. You don't actually know who they are. They're not showing you themselves. They're showing you what earns approval. They don't have solid values. They adapt, they perform. And the moment you stop admiring them, they disappear or turn cold. You didn't meet a person. You met a reflection. The third is the quiet underminer. They never attack you directly. They sound reasonable, concerned, mature. They say things like, "I just don't want you to get hurt." That's ambitious. Are you sure? "I admire your courage. I could never risk failing like that." It sounds supportive, but it plants doubt. They erode confidence slowly. They disguise fear as logic. And if you're not aware, you'll start shrinking to stay comfortable around them. They don't want you to fail loudly. They want you to never fully try. The fourth is the hidden competitor. They call themselves your friend. They clap for you, carefully. They celebrate you only when they're ahead. Every win of yours gets minimized, redirected, matched with their own story. Slightly better, slightly louder. They don't hate you. They resent what you reflect back at them. And when you struggle, they feel relief disguised as concern. They stay close enough to compare, not to support. The fifth is the calm superior. This person presents as evolved, emotionally aware, spiritually grounded. They speak softly, use therapeutic language, always seem centered. But anytime you challenge them, you become the problem. You're triggered. You still have work to do. You're reacting. They never admit fault. They reframe your boundaries as flaws. They don't dominate by force. They dominate by always appearing above you. They don't want equals. They want authority disguised as wisdom. The sixth is the sensitive controller. They feel deeply. They cry easily. They say they absorb energy. At first, it feels intimate, but slowly, you start managing yourself to keep them stable. You suppress honesty. You walk on eggshells. Your emotions become too much for them. Their sensitivity becomes a leash. And if they spiral, it's suddenly your fault. You mistake emotional chaos for depth and control for closeness. Now, here's the part most people miss. These people don't destroy you because they're evil. They do it because they're unaware. They never faced their own inner chaos, so they hand it to you. And here's the deeper truth. You don't just meet these people by accident. You tolerate them for a reason. If you keep attracting manipulators, there's a part of you afraid to stand fully in your truth. If you keep rescuing victims, there's a part of you that feels valuable only when needed. If you keep trusting charm over consistency, you're still outsourcing self-worth. You attract what you haven't integrated. This isn't about becoming cold. It's about becoming whole. When you repress your anger, you tolerate disrespect. When you ignore your intuition, you excuse red flags. When you prioritize harmony over honesty, you invite people who feed on silence. So, what do you do now? First, audit your circle. Notice who drains you, who confuses you, who requires constant explanation just to treat you well. Distance doesn't require drama. Withdrawal is clarity. Second, stop silencing the part of you that notices patterns. Your instincts aren't cruelty, they're protection. Third, stop over-explaining boundaries. People who respect you won't need convincing. Those who demand justification are testing access. Fourth, trust the first signal you felt. The hesitation. The discomfort. The moment your body noticed before your mind did. Most people aren't confused. They're hoping they're wrong. The people who cause the most damage don't arrive with warning signs. They arrive with charm, vulnerability, concern, alignment, but patterns never lie. And when you stop abandoning yourself to keep the peace, something changes. You don't chase clarity, you become it. You stop fixing, stop explaining, stop absorbing what was never yours. And without raising your voice, you become unreachable to manipulators, uninteresting to users, and impossible to control. Not because you hardened, but because you finally trusted what you knew. That's your everyday reality check. Insight isn't optional, it's necessary. Subscribe to Everyday Reality Check because someone had to say it.